What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over several tips to hopefully help you play better with random teammates in Fortnite. This video is going to focus mostly on reload mode, but most of this will also apply to BR. And again, it's going to focus mostly on playing with random teammates, but a lot of this stuff would also be beneficial for when you're playing with people that you may know as well. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below if you ever play with random teammates in Fortnite. I'm interested to see that because a decent amount of people have commented saying they've been struggling to play reload mode because they don't have teammates. And I do think playing with randoms in reload mode is pretty viable. And I have had a better than expected experience playing with randoms when playing reload. The first thing is going to be to not try to blame your teammate for literally everything or expect them to magically know exactly what to do to help you in every moment. Based on reading comments of people that kind of comment about their experience playing with random teammates, it seems like a lot of them go into it with this mindset where like anything that goes wrong, it's because they're playing with random teammates. And anytime their teammate doesn't help them, that's just like further proof of how doomed it was to begin with. Like if you go into it with this mindset and you're kind of hard scoping your teammate, looking for reasons why it's their fault that the game isn't going well, it's not going to be a good experience. Like you got to understand that like in the same way that like they're a random to you, you're a random to them. So it's going to be hard to have like decent teamwork and have like decent synergy at all times. If you just like, full shockwave on a team with no kind of setup or, marking or anything like that, and then just are confused on why your teammate didn't shockwave with you or push them with you, it's partially on you. And then the same thing is also true where people frame their teammates as always pushing enemy players or going off without the team. That's partially on the team for not following them. Like both people are at fault in both situations, I think. So, try to have a little more leeway with your teammate and be a little more open-minded about that sort of thing. And I think your experience playing the game will be a lot better. The first thing we're going to talk about, aside from that, is going to be to just land with your teammate. And again, this is something that's a point of contention for a lot of people because you might mark retail and your teammate marks tilted, and then they go tilted and you go retail, and then neither of you really get to play the game, and then it's GG's from there. I think you have to be somewhat willing to compromise where you're landing when you're playing with randoms. A lot of times I will mark where I want to land, and that is very good to do as soon as you're in the pregame lobby. Mark where you want to land, and hopefully the fact that they see your mark will sway them towards, going there with you. They may also just mark a POI of their own, and then now it's kind of a game of chicken where like you have your POI marked, they have their marked, and you can either both land split or you can choose to eventually pull your mark off the POI you marked and then mark theirs and let them know that you are going to land there with them. I think that's what I would typically do is I would mark where I want to go. If they mark where they want to go, I'm not going to change my mark until the battle bus is about to take off. Once we're like getting close to like having to land, I'll mark where they mark and then we'll go there. But I've had also times where like they kind of give in first and then mark where I mark and we go there. So it's like, that's why I said it's like kind of like a game of chicken where like you wait and see, but like be willing to go somewhere else and go where they want to go. And I think just being flexible like that is pretty, most of the things I'm going to talk about just come down to being flexible like that. And then also when it comes to where you're going to land, not only the same POI as your teammate, but try to land near them at the POI. If you land at the houses section of retail and they're landing at shops, then that's not ideal. And you could sit there and blame them for not landing houses with you, or you could try to maybe veer off towards shops or make it towards shops pretty like as fast as you can, you want to be in close enough proximity to be able to help them. I think you also want to try to find out what kind of teammate you have over the course of the game. Do you have someone that's really passive? Do you have someone that kind of seems new to the game? Or do you have someone that like is very aggressive? Do you have someone that's a decent player? And like how the early game fights go will inform a lot about what I think of my teammate. If after the first fights it seems like they're not very good, or they're not like comfortable playing the game, I'm going to play very differently than if the first couple fights happen and I'm like, wow, this teammate is solid, they're good. Once you kind of know what you're dealing with, I feel like you can choose how you're going to play a lot better. If I have a better teammate, I'm going to probably play a little more loose and a little more aggressive and expect them to be able to like play off of me. But if I have someone that doesn't seem very good at the game, I'm not going to play as aggressive and I'm not going to expect as much with them. And I think in general, you should try to play off your teammate as much as you can and play to help them, especially in duos, because in duos, I feel like it really only takes one person to have good teamwork. Like if you just choose to kind of play more of an assisting role and play off your teammate well, then you're going to have solid teamwork. Whereas like if both players are too stubborn, it's not going to work. It kind of comes down to, like I said, with the landing spots and being flexible. But you do need to be somewhat selfish at the same time. If you're, especially in reload mode, because you can respawn back if the timer goes off, you know? So I feel like I try to play to help my teammate, but I'm not going to play as much to help my teammate as I would if I was like playing with somebody that I know and was like talking to. Also for this video, I'm assuming you're having no verbal communication with your teammate, just to kind of give feedback for that, you know? So I do think you want to play off your teammate, but also know when to play your life and do play a bit selfish. Like, don't sacrifice your life at all times trying to help your teammate. There will be times where you need to push with them and help them, but like always play for yourself a little bit more. Like if you were on a scale from like selfish to selfless, I feel like you want to be like 65% selfish. A lot of people are 100% selfish, and that kind of goes back to what I was talking about before, where like they don't land with their teammate. Anything that goes wrong is the teammate's fault. And it's just because they're random, you know. But like if you're like 65% selfish, you know, you will help your teammate and you will play off your teammate and you will play how your teammate wants to play, but also like you're still playing your life at the same time. I feel like that's pretty important. Also, I think marking things is very important. So there's like the mark option in Fortnite where you can ping on the ground, and then if you hit it twice, you mark danger. I try to do this a lot when playing with randoms, and I think this is something that like can be really beneficial when also playing with people that you know. The same thing goes for, like I said, playing off your teammate and kind of being a good teammate, but also being a bit selfish. I think that translates to playing with people that you know as well. But anyways, over the course of the game, I think you should just be marking where you want to go, like on the ground, so they know. And then when there's danger, mark the danger. And I feel like if you do this consistently over the course of the game, you kind of condition your teammate to not only be aware that you're doing it, but to like play off it and follow you. I use the marks a lot when playing with randoms. And again, like I said at the start of the video, I've had a pretty decent experience playing with random teammates in Fortnite Reload, like much better than I expected. And I think a huge portion of that is just because I'm like consistently using the mark option and trying to like direct them on where we should be going, but also marking danger pretty consistently. And I think that marking danger is also pretty helpful when playing with people that you know, because how many times have you been playing with people and then a fight happens and the call out is there right there? And that doesn't really mean anything to me because I'm not looking at the same screen at the same screen as you know? So I think getting in the habit of marking that danger can be pretty helpful. I also think you should try not to get too tunnel visioned. This is good all the time, but also it's good all the time in Reload. And it's also like even more doubly so when playing Reload with a random person, because in Reload, it's a very fast-paced, chaotic game mode. And people will be coming back and there's just constant action. So if you're too focused on one thing, you're probably going to get third partied or you're probably going to get landed on, you know? But also when you're playing with a random and you don't have that communication, you don't have the information that your teammate is feeding you a lot of times. And so I feel like getting tunnel visioned and only focused on one thing is even more detrimental when playing with random players. So anytime you do feel like you're getting too focused on one fight, try to kind of pull yourself out of it, look around you, keep your, like, you know, pay attention to where other enemy teams are, where they could be. And I feel like that is a good skill to have at all times. Like getting too tunnel visioned on one thing, I feel like is pretty much always detrimental in Fortnite, or like any game I've played. But it's even more so in Reload, and it's even more so when you're playing without communication because you don't have what your teammate could be feeding you or what they're seeing or what they're wanting to do. You know what I mean? Another thing I think is really helpful is just to carry bunkers. I think for zero build reload mode, having somebody carry bunkers is huge, and it can often be the difference maker in a fight. But also, this kind of comes back to being flexible. If you're just going to carry double mobility or a bunch of guns and not carry the bunkers and expect your teammate to always do it, it probably isn't going to work out for you more often than not, you know? So if you just be the person that carries the bunkers, then you know that you have somebody on your team having bunkers, and then it's good to go. And if I'm playing and I know my teammate is carrying them, I might be more inclined to use double mobility. But if they're not, I'm going to. And not only does it make it to where you can win a lot of fights easier, really helps in the end game. I feel like it kind of will condition your teammate to play off of you more when you're the one throwing the bunkers consistently. But also in situations where a fight breaks out and maybe your teammate isn't playing off of you very well or playing to help you very well, having the bunkers to play off will buy you more time to hopefully help your teammate get to you. So it'll stop you from dying as fast, and it will kind of give you more control over how your game is playing, I feel like. And that should hopefully, you know, help your teammate kind of play off of you more. And then the final thing I want to talk about is just that, like, sometimes it will be chalked, but like it is what it is. That's kind of Fortnite in general. You can land and get trash loot, die and go next. But if you're kind of carrying that fact that you've died off spawn because you got trash loot with you into the next match, it's probably just going to make you play worse. We all do it from time to time, you know, it is what it is. But in general, it's good not to do that. And I feel like the same thing is true when playing with random teammates. If you've had 2 bad games in a row with randoms and then you go into the third, you might have a good teammate. But if you are already of the mindset that it's not going to go well because the previous games didn't, that's not really going to benefit you, you know? So I think trying to be open-minded about it and be okay with some of the games not going well is pretty important when playing with random teammates in any game, but especially in Fortnite. The biggest thing I would say, though, like I've talked about in this video, is just trying to be flexible. You can do what you want to do, especially if you're using the marks. I feel like over time your teammate will play off you more, but be willing to kind of compromise and play off them, and be flexible in kind of, you know, not only playing how you want to play, but also playing to help your teammate. Because in duos, it really only takes one person to compromise. And if you want to play reload and you don't have a teammate, you're probably going to play random duos rather than random squad. So like if you be the person that compromises and play to be a good teammate, I think it'll work out a lot more often than if both people just kind of play to do their own thing and refuse to compromise. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this helpful, informative, interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.